Hello and welcome back to the show. Welcome to the Roll Report, episode 2. Fuck yeah, man. I'm excited. I've been really excited. I've been planning. I've been plotting and scheming. I am your DM. I am Colin. I use he and they pronouns, and I am super stoked to keep mildly tormenting my players. My wonderful heroic trio. Introduce yourselves.
Oh, hi. My name is Fenner. I use they, them pronouns, and I am the character of Galen.
What pronouns does Galen use?
Galen is a variant human paladin, and he uses he, him pronouns.
My name is Kaya May, and I use they, she pronouns, and I'll be playing Rivulet Starfish, who's a Walter Genasi Bard druid.
This is Ben, and I am currently in the role of Yorick, who uses he, him pronouns as I do. And Yorick is an old mariner whose accent I will get into more deeply as we actually play.
It's kind of taxing. I was trying to match it last time. I was like, oh, fuck, that's hard.
It got easier as we went on. My friend Charles was giving me some vocal coaching pointers to help it last longer. So, we'll see how long we can keep it going.
Cool. Well, with that, let's get into a little recap. It hasn't been that long, but I was time. Love it. Live Foley. So last time, we learned a little bit about the city of Sea Shallow, the current setting of our campaign. And we were introduced to our heroic trio, Princess Rivulet Starfish, the 7th daughter of the king of Notlantis and ambassador to the city government. Galen, a totally normal human who's also very lucky and was raised by octopuses. And Yorick, an elderly sailor with a penchant for wizardry. In the inner ring of the city, we met Rivulet as she attempted, mostly successfully, to hide from her bodyguard Drawn in a fog cloud before leading him on a merry chase around the city's canals. Drawn eventually caught up and informed Rivulet that her father had asked them to call in an old friend. In the 4th ring, the outer part of the city, we met Galen during his morning training with the mercenary band, the Scarlet Ospreys. And for the first time in a month, he successfully landed a blow on Vec, the leader of the mercenaries. Rivulet and Drawn showed up, and a slightly awkward introduction followed as Rivulet noticed Vec was clearly not happy with their visit, possibly due to Vec's relationship or history with her father, the king. Hi, cat. There's a cat wandering around our playing space because this is my life. Vec then dispatched Galen to show Rivulet around the city. Outside the city, on the ship, the Heart of the Isles, we met Yorick. Maybe. He and the ship's captain Raffles shared a moment watching the city approach as they sailed, and the captain made a few cryptic comments about Yorick's nature. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Secrets are brewing.
Secrets.
As the ship docked and began unloading, Galen and Rivulet happened to be passing by, and Rivulet noticed an odd sea elf hiding behind a series of crates, just kind of watching. Before anyone could do anything about it, the crates began bursting open to reveal skeletons and the rotting corpse of an ogre. The heroic trio leapt into action. Galen deployed his barnacle shield around Rivulet, as well as reviving her with his lay on the clammy hands of an octopus. And Rivulet melted the ears off of the ogre with many discordant whispers, and Yorick repeatedly singed the ogre's eyelashes with a witch bolt. Witch bolt?
Yeah.
Witch bolt.
All he did was cast Witch Bolt. That was the only spell he cast. Yeah, Witch Bolt.
Witch bolt.
The left one.
Had to be done. Eventually, you all defeated the undead with the help of this sea elf, and as you caught your breath, he introduced himself as Alistair, revealing that he had been investigating rumors of undead attacks on the city. As you contemplated this piece of information, the bits and pieces of the many undead began to amalgamate into a huge final form, and things did not look good. Until the electric-winged Vec appeared, hurling a lightning bolt at the thing before smashing it to pieces with a flurry of hits from her warhammer. Clearly, obviously, not looking back as she walked away, it fell to pieces, and as she looked around surveying the damage and gazed at you all and said, "What in storming hells happened?" And that is where we are now. So the 3 of you are still kind of on this dock where the Heart of the Isles just pulled in. There is piles of crates and debris around you from the skeletons and ogre bursting out of the crates. A flurry of new activity as longshoremen and dock workers begin trying to clear some of it and continue unloading the ship. It seems like this is weird, but also in a magical city, people are like, all right, another thing happened. Let's get back to business. Vec looks around and is kind of taking this all in and sort of waiting for someone to say something. And Alistair is just kind of like slightly tucked himself behind Galen unobtrusively. What happened?
Well, as far as I can tell, that crate burst open and a whole bunch of skeletons and a zombie walked out. I have no idea where it came from.
I killed some of them, so.
Well done.
Thank you.
Vec proud.
Thank you.
And he saved my life.
Oh, yeah, that old thing.
Okay. So, just come out of crates, come from ship, where?
Well, I think the crate may have been on the ship we just sailed off in, or through in, here in. So we may want to ask the captain where the crate came from, unless it was just sitting there. I'm not sure.
Everybody make a perception check, by the way.
Perception.
11 plus 1, 12.
I just rolled a 3.
Yikes.
Yeah, not very perceptive.
I 7.
All right. Oh, not bad.
No.
So
You rolled that.
as you all look around for a moment in this, Raffles is nowhere to be seen on this dock at the moment.
Oh.
There's a couple of the crew still kind of like shouting at various people from the dock and trying to like get these last few crates out of there.
Is there like a return label or?
Yeah, I mean, you haven't looked yet, I would say.
Right.
Yorick, you feel just like the slightest sort of tap on your shoulder. But as you look around, you just catch like the faintest hint of a cloak that you recognize that probably is the captain's, kind of disappearing around a corner. And I think you would know by this point, he does not deal with authority.
Well then, I imagine given my loyalty to him, it would be best to let him go. If he doesn't want to answer questions, then let's not put him in that position.
Beck kind of looks around again and kicks a piece of the crate into the water. So, city has been attacked 2-3 times last month. Strange. My job, our job, is protect the city.
Mm-hmm.
Galen.
Yeah.
Find out what happened.
All right, boss.
Find what captain knows.
Okay.
And report back.
Sure. Anything for you, boss. Do I have to do it alone? Or?
Well, I'm just a weary sailor that's come in from the sea. I've never been to the city before, and it's already turning out to be quite an interesting day. Given that this crate may have come in with my ship, I feel some sort of duty to help you discover the origins of this, should I be able to. So maybe I'll join you for this little outing and find out what we can.
You see Vec kind of looks surprised for a moment, and like an eyebrow starts moving, and it takes a moment, and then she just raises one eyebrow. Okay. Welcome to city.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, not welcome you want, maybe.
Well, hopefully it'll be a little more calm now that we've gotten past this little fiasco.
Okay. Talk soon.
Oh, yeah.
She does a big 2-fingered whistle that I cannot actually do and would probably break the mic. And you see kind of like bounding around the corner a moment later is a massive armored polar bear that she starts taking a few steps, swings up as it's in motion, and then just she and this bear disappear off.
I love
into the
that
city.
bear.
Exit Vec on polar bear.
Not pursued, but
Very
on.
stylish, yeah.
Rivulet looks at Galen and is like, I don't think she likes me very much. Sad face.
That's just how she, comes off to people. Is once you get to know her, she's real sweet. You should see how she brushes that polar bear every night.
Alistair kind of like looks around your shoulder at this point and goes, I have heard that, yes. She's quite fearsome, though. Sorry, I don't mean to intrude, but I also might be able to help if you'd like.
Phew, good, man. I didn't want to do this by myself.
Right, I don't know my ass from a tea kettle in this town, so we should definitely be able to use a bit of help here.
Well, I can certainly take on the role of guide, and perhaps I done a small amount of investigative journalism myself, and maybe I can be of use. And he kind of like starts looking around and like kind of picking up a piece of the crate, and he holds up just this like flattened piece that looks like it exploded from one of the skeletons, and he says, "So it seems like we might find something here, and perhaps if the captain didn't wish to speak to Miss Vec, he might speak to us."
I'd say that's more likely, as long as he doesn't have to speak to anyone who might, put him in prison or anything like that.
I tend to come off as like, pretty harmless. So I could maybe...
You certainly say that, but I saw what you did to those skeletons.
That's just lucky.
I mean, luck or skill, but remarkable nonetheless.
Can I investigate the remains of the crate?
Absolutely. Yeah, make an investigation check. And anyone else who would like to kind of start here on the dock. So, Yorick, as you begin kind of piecing together some of the bits of crate, trying to put them back into some semblance of order. Alistair's help as well.
I have a -1 investigation.
I rolled a 14.
Okay.
I have a
2,
5.
which went to a 1.
He's going to try himself.
Alistair.
Alistair's going to help.
Come on, Alistair.
11. Wow. So highest would be a 14. Okay. So a lot of the crates have kind of been smashed beyond anything that's really capable of being assembled. Like the skeletons really did a number on them. Some of the pieces have been flung into the sea and lost, and a lot of the others are sort of, it'd be like trying to put together a shredded piece of paper. So it's difficult. It's slow going. But you do, after a few minutes, manage to piece together something. It looks to be some sort of an address. There are 3 lines. The first line, you see PRO, little gap, SOR. Another gap, ER, big gap, GTH. The second line is mostly blank. You see the letters OLLEGIUM. Then there's a little gap and GES. And the last line says City of Sea Shallow. Everybody give me either insight or just a intelligence check. You can use whichever is your better.
Okay, great.
In there.
I have a 13 on that.
Okay.
16.
16.
I don't see intelligence on my...
Intelligence is like your main stat up at the top. So
oh my
yes,
God.
you can do
So dumb. Oh, wait, but I could do insight?
Yes.
Okay, insight, because
Yeah,
I get a
whichever is
+1 there. Oh, great. I got a 10.
Okay, 10, 16,
13.
13?
13, yeah.
Alistair is not very helpful. He kind of looks at it and he goes, well, it's definitely, someone addressed in the city, and kind of like scoots off a little bit. Rivulet and Yorick, as you guys poke over this, I think you are able to suss out a couple other things. It seems likely that the first word is professor.
Mm-hmm.
And you also feel like it is fairly likely that there's just one missing letter in that second line for collegium.
Yeah.
As the Collegium of Mages is one of the best known things about the city. And, you've gotten almost all those letters. So there's still little gaps. So it seems like as you piece this together, you're probably, these were addressed to a professor somewhere at the Collegium, but not entirely sure who.
Professor Err.
Could have been. And there also, the Collegium has numbers, either 7 or 8 schools. I don't remember off the top of my head how many different schools of magic there are, but I think it's 8. I want to say 8. I'm going to say 8, and don't at me. It's either 7 or 8. And canon will be when I actually check that. And Alistair comes back over a moment later and goes, "Oh, yes, interesting." And he kind of looks around and he goes, "These are pieces from, it looks like several different crates. So perhaps all of the crates were going to the same person at the Collegium. That's odd, isn't it?"
Well, presumably whoever is receiving these merchandise, as it were, can tell us something more about where they came from and perhaps why they are importing skeletons and ogres and such things. I would also like to talk to the captain, as, you know, if it turns out these came on our ship, he may know something as well, so might be worth finding him.
Oh, what if we put one of the crates back together and wait around to see who came to pick them up, and then I could hide in it and then take him and jump out and be like, "Surprise! I'm not the dead thing you thought." Is that a terrible idea?
I think that's a wonderful idea, actually.
Oh, certainly not a bad idea. We might be waiting here for quite some time, though.
All right. I mean, someone's missing their zombies. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, is it at all possible they didn't know it was coming?
Oh, I didn't think of that.
An anonymous sender, like.
Well, or you know, perhaps, what is it they say? A frame job?
Oh.
Well, see, that's why.
Did I get that right?
Sure, why not? That's why you're here to help, clearly.
Yeah.
I would have just sealed myself in a box, probably starved to death.
Well, I mean, I would certainly hope not. That sounds unpleasant, I must say. Did anyone see the captain? I
saw him running around that corner over there once the authorities turned up.
Does he not like to engage with them?
He prefers not to speak to any authorities of any type if he can help it. He is a cat, after all. He's resentful of authority by nature.
I love cats.
I'm quite fond of them myself. Well, I mean, the pets, not the
walking bipedal type.
Yes,
they're
it's
even more
odd.
suspicious of authority than their four-legged counterparts.
I would assume no less. They're very nomadic, and some people seem to have a problem with that.
Catfish are lovely.
Oh, they taste delicious too. I do beg your pardon. I'm frightfully sorry.
It's all right. I just have 3 catfish at home. No problem.
Oh. He just looks really incredibly awkward for a minute.
Different cultures, don't worry.
Yes, still I should be more sensitive. We are, not kindred exactly, but I am also, as you see, an elf of the sea.
Oh, I hadn't noticed.
I did.
He does have these big sort of fish fin looking ear shapes.
She was dripping sarcasm.
Yeah.
Dripping.
Ouch.
Nailed it.
With my foot firmly in my mouth, perhaps, yes, if we should find where Yorick said the captain went.
Well, he did mention he was excited to visit his favorite dockside tavern, so perhaps we should look around for that first. He did go around this corner. I don't know how much luck we'll have finding him here. I know there's a lot of taverns, but maybe we could just quickly ask the other crew member where they think he might have gone.
Oh, yes, of course. You head back over to the ship. There is, of the people left, there is one tiefling who kind of looks down as you holler and then just turns away completely and goes back to what they were doing on the boat.
Ooh, can I roll a persuasion check?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
Oh! Okay, no, I'm gonna re-roll. I'm gonna use my lucky roll.
Lucky persuasion. Yeah.
Because I had rolled a 2.
Yeah.
And I have a +6, but
Yeah, get in there.
come on, baby, come on. Yellow mellow, baby. Yeah, blow on it, Rivulet. whoa, hey, I'm sorry. I'm
I'm
sorry.
a child.
In the fun dice way.
Yeah, 17 +6. That's a 23.
Highly persuasive.
Yeah. What do you do as you walk up to the ship and this person kind of like starts turning away?
Well, I kind of like fix my eyebrows and I don't know. What are these guys like? They like...
I mean, they're pirates.
They're pirates. Oh, and I have a little gold doubloon
Nice.
that I start flipping in the air and I say, hey, I'm just wondering if you could help us out here looking for the captain. And I have a feeling you know where he is.
Just Tiefling kind of like looks down, like was totally turning away, looks back and spots the gold and kind of shrugs. And then they look over their shoulder and whistle. And a moment later, you see another Triton actually kind of approach and kind of lean down on the rail and go, oh, howdy, y'all. How can I help you? Nameless over there says y'all need something. Well, I mean, I assume she don't talk too much.
Yeah, all right. We're just looking for the captain of the ship. Got a couple questions, and that's it. Just want to have a little chat.
The captain did mention something about a favorite tavern in town, so we were wondering whether you might know which tavern he likes to frequent.
She looked a little odd for a second, and then Yorick, as soon as you spoke up, and she kind of like looks, well, Yorick, I mean, could be any, Captain. He likes himself a drink, likes himself a bit of company. But if I were to guess, he does usually like the peg leg. And that's it's maybe like, a minute or two along the clock face that way, if you were to imagine the docks as a clock face.
Oh, yeah, they got really cheap pitches, too.
Cheap as shit. I don't know what Captain sees in it, but that's what he likes.
Well, that sounds splendid. I suppose we'll just head down that way then. I've always wanted to visit a dockside tavern in this town.
We'll take you to a better one after you go talk to the captain.
Sounds right as rain to me.
This one's not too bad. You should see the pictures in the bathroom. Maybe not you, Rivulet.
Now she really wants to go into
Definitely planning on going into the bathroom.
Amazing. So she kind of waves and you all head off. And as you follow where Yorick saw the captain, you're basically, the very outermost part of the fifth ring is this long dock and like wharf, just completely ringing the city. And then kind of around this alleyway, there is sort of like what would pass for like one or two streets before you would get to the next big canal to the inner ring. So as you follow him around, you do see pretty easily on this street is mostly cheap eateries and different sort of restaurants, bars. God, what the hell else is that? Like a dock, like rundown, dirty kind of places, like
warehouses,
a few general stores, warehouses full of shit.
I shed a tear for the pile of calamari I see.
There's so much calamari. There's so much. It's really sad.
It's fine. It's fine.
And about one. What is that? A radian, a degree? Like what is?
Sure.
Yeah.
1 notch.
1 notch.
A minute?
On the clock as you follow the.
Ooh, I like a minute.
So you're kind of heading like south and west a little bit. It's like on the arc that would go counterclockwise. You see a dingy looking, basically if someone threw a bunch of driftwood into a shack and then kind of kept adding onto it and making it a little bigger. So it's a low 1-story building, just all driftwood and planking. And there's a little sign or like a little signpost that just has a wooden peg leg swinging from little chains. Not even like an actual sign, just like an actual wooden leg hanging through the thing.
What a delightful establishment.
Rivulet is like absolutely giddy with pleasure at being somewhere so dingy.
It looks lovely. Yes, of course. You see Alistair just like very visibly is like, oh God, I don't know about this place.
I'm smacking my lips. I'm ready. I love beer.
Yeah, as you know, Galen just like pops right in. You see this, sort of low one room bar. Couple like random support pillars that themselves kind of look like they're about to fall over rather than actually supporting the roof. An old one-eyed orc behind the bar with a row of stools kind of at the bar, and a couple like beaten up, battered tables with like knife and sword and axe gouges in them very visibly, and just a handful of seats that are not like piles of broken wood in the corners. And just an open barrel of beer. As you guys enter, you see the bartender just kind of like take a tankard off the bar, just like dip it right in the barrel and put it in front of an old halfling who's sitting on the bar. But kind of in the back corner at one of the tables, you see Raffles, who just looks up as you all enter and gives a wave and goes, "All right, mates, come have a drink."
Oh, Captain, it's so good to see you. I wasn't sure where you went, but luckily we found you.
Well, you know me, I don't like to be around the authority.
Right, it makes perfect sense. I wouldn't want to be talking to that barbarian for longer than I had to, being a pirate.
Me and the guards don't get along so well, and that one stinks of being a guard.
Right.
So do you, actually. What's your deal?
Well, me, I just, I'm just trying to be a good guy.
I mean, I saw what you did there, doing your little octopus hands. I guess that was a good thing. But
yeah, it's hard for me to see people suffer or die, just kind of.
Fair enough. And he kind of looks at Alistair, and Alistair just like gives a little wave. Hi, I'm sorry, I was just kind of happened to be there. Alistair. Oh, well, have a seat, mates. Leggy, round of drinks.
Yes.
And the bartender just like, and like begins again dipping beer glasses just like into this open barrel and putting them on your table.
Rivulet clutches one, sticks her hand in it, and absorbs alcohol.
Make a Constitution save.
17.
You're fine. You're just like, wow, this is, what good quality water is, both fresh and brackish and salt. And this is like the dregs of beer. You're like, I don't know, this bartender might just recycle what people drink back into that barrel. It is actively bad beer. And Raffles just like clinks his tankard to Yorick and just takes a giant swig. And he does not throw up. Just smacks his lip with every indication of enjoyment. I do love the beer at this fine establishment. Well, that was quite a shit show. And what are y'all gonna do about it? I guess. What do you come find me for?
Well, Captain, we were wondering whether you might be able to help us know where it's coming from. We're not sure whether the crate came from our boat or another one.
What's your gain in all this? You just reek of a guard. Why are you sticking your nose in?
Well, I'm supposed to show Rivulet around, and I
want an adventure.
You look far too fancy and free to be any sort of kind of person might usually be on my ship.
On your ship?
Well, around, on, what? I mean, I don't know. You're certainly welcome to come aboard if you like.
Okay, all right.
Okay, that sounds wonderful.
Now, we're a motley crew, but
you can come too. I don't discriminate.
We've got good intentions, I promise.
Make a persuasion check.
All right.
Are we all persuading?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, 15. That's a 21, mother
Right.
flupper.
I have a 9.
I got a 10.
Galen clearly carries the group here as like he's just really earnestly sitting there like clutching the beer like we want out. And he after a moment just kind of like leans back, props a boot up on the chair next to him and holds a tanker in one paw very carelessly. He goes, "All right, now since you asked so nicely, I'm going to help, but I'm going to ask that y'all keep my name as far away from this as I can, especially where it comes to that there Goliath or anyone related to the council."
Oh, I already forgot it, so that's fine.
So did I. I don't even remember what your name is.
Certainly, Captain. We won't mention anything.
Perfect. And you keep it out of the government. whatever. I don't know. You have the Baron of someone that
I have
comes
no
from
idea what you're
fancy-
talking about.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure.
I'm just here for an adventure.
Sure. As you say. Well, those crates did, I think all of them came from the ship, York. Now, I ain't too happy about that because I mislike people ask me transport shit without my knowledge and without asking, essentially. But if I'm remembering rightly, and I think I am, we took those crates on, what was it? Sweetwater to the west. It's the Halfling Island. You remember that one? I mean, you stayed on the ship, I guess, but I assume you noticed that everyone running around was about 3 feet tall.
I did notice they were rather diminutive, Captain, yes.
Now, if I'm remembering, and he, at this point, kind of pulls out a small notebook and opens it up and just flips a couple pages. Now, that shipment dropped off at the dock, and some human in some kind of reddish robes signed for it and paid. Said his name was Theobald. It was a load of shit, of course, but paid me in gold, and I don't look gift cargoes in the mouth. And, York, I think, can attest to this. It's cargo's cargo, and on my ship, it ain't too important exactly who's sending it or who to. And now, those crates just sat in the whole journey while we was coming here, and I had no idea what was in them. I was not paid to go look into my customers' cargo. So I don't know what they were doing until they came here, but...
Captain, we did inspect the crates a bit, and we thought that maybe they were addressed to a professor at the Collegium. Do you remember reading the label on the package, on the crate, before it was destroyed?
Oh, I try not to look. Let me see. He flips back through the notebook again, a couple pages. Let's see how much he remembers. That is a grand whopping total of a 10. He does not remember.
Well,
yeah, I feel like it. I mean, they was coming here, and I knew that someone was going to either sign for him or come pick him up from the dock. I thought, but I'm sorry, afraid I don't remember exactly where they was going.
And this Theobald that we met at Sweetwater, he was a human despite being on a halfling island, is that right?
Well, I mean, halflings is friendly, and they're close to the center here. They're a little more willing to meet with other folks. I mean,
Was that here or there?
How do you mean?
Oh, I mean, was Theobald on this halfling island or
Aye.
in the city?
Oh, it was only on Sweetwater. I ain't seen him since. Now, because you asked me so nicely, and because my good friend York is here, I'll tell you, you might recall this a little bit yourself. Sailors talk, pirates talk, and the islands are growing mighty tense. There's people with these red robes on more and more of the islands, and some of them just preaching, proselytizing how the visit was a lie. People ought to stick to their own kind like the gods intended. He just leans over, spits on the ground. The orc kind of goes, and he's like, fuck off. Yeah, look, it's a load of shit. Anyone can see gods made all of us chitlins in their images, plus, so many bits match up, so to speak. He gives a big wink.
Wow.
A Randy cat pirate.
Very.
Sexy.
Very. I mean, I think you would know after the end of this chunk of time traveling with him, he absolutely has a lover in every port.
Right.
Will make one.
Right. He's ready to go to bed with just about
And a
anybody.
port in every lover.
And species and gender do not matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Pansexual in the truest sense.
Very. So, I mean, I think that's what I got. I don't know. And I probably ought to stay, make sure the ship ain't get damaged, and take on some new cargo before we head out again. But I hope you can find out. I like the city. I'd hate to think someone just willy-nilly sending undead here to wreak havoc and whatnot.
Well, thank you, Captain. That's been very helpful. I'm sure it will get us much closer to the information we're looking for.
Anything for you. Well, almost anything.
You're a good man, Captain. I've always trusted you.
Now, don't you go saying that to nobody. It'd ruin my reputation.
Rivulet looks at the captain with big eyes and asks, "Are you a real pirate?"
Don't go telling nobody. He just flashes another big grin. Just,
She squeezed even more.
well, maybe sometime you'd like to come for a sail.
Great. Let's do it. Adventure.
It seems like y'all got a plenty exciting one right now, too, so good luck.
Yeah, let's finish this adventure first, okay, Rivulet, before you run off
Okay.
making more adventures.
I'm always game for an adventure, and I think it finds those who look for it. But if you're on your way then, he lifts his tanker again. I'm sure I'll see you another point, I hope. York, we're going to try to leave within, 2-3 days if you're locking the ship up with us again.
Oh, thank you for the heads up on that, Captain. I'll certainly be at port when we're ready to sail out. Hopefully we can sort out this mystery before then.
I'll keep my paws crossed for you, and I'll have at you send you if we're actually leaving. Give you a little time, a little heads up.
All right, perfect. Yep, I'd certainly rather leave with you than stay in this strange city too long. It's rather overwhelming.
I mean, it's a nice city, though. Give it a chance, eh?
Rivulet looks over and says, "You don't want to see the
Collegium?
Collegium?"
Well, it's interesting.
So excited.
It's interesting you should mention that. I have wondered quite a bit about the Collegium, so if we make our way there, I certainly would be interested to speak to some of these mages. I dabble in a bit of magic myself, and I certainly think I could learn a thing or two from those folks. So if you'd like to show me around, I certainly won't say no.
She says it's the biggest spectacle of, the last 100 years, and she spins around and light orbs kind of like surround her. She makes a really dramatic pose.
Wow. That's a beautiful display. I see you've got a little bit of the old magic in yourself as well.
Oh, it's true.
That was remarkable. Alistair kind of like leans in. You notice he has absolutely not touched his beer at all. It's just like sitting and like slightly pushed off to the side from him. Yes, you're actually here in quite a good time. The Wizard's tourney is going to start soon, and the first one in 100 years.
Oh, wow. Are you going to finish that?
No, not at all. Here, and he
Woo-hoo!
slides over. Galen, make a Constitution save.
Oh, no.
5.
Do you have a modifier there?
+2.
So the first beer went down fine. This one, as you're continuing to kind of pour and try to chug it, you hit a little pocket, like something that is
some hair,
foul, like clearly something's been mixed back in, and almost immediately just like lean to the side and vomit it back up and feel much better. And Raffles just kind of laughs. He goes, Leggy, gotta get a new barrel out then. Don't be afraid, it happens to the best of us.
It's cleansing.
That's one way to look at it, sure. Well, be seeing you all then. Another round. Leggy begins bringing over another drink, and Alistair cannot get out of his seat fast enough. Shall we? We should report to Miss Beck, and then perhaps to the Collegium.
Rivulet storms past him and kind of knocks her shoulder into him.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did I do? You seem to know her. What should I do?
Oh, I think that's just her way of saying let's go.
All right then. And he kind of bows to the captain and also begins following Rivulet out.
All right. Yep, I'm headed for the door.
Yep, me too. Just got to keep my eye on this Rivulet character.
You emerge back out into the sunlight of the fifth ring. Excuse me. You're at the dock. They're at this point, they're kind of pretty close to one of the inner canals, and there is sort of this little water taxi stand and a number of small boats lined up with people sort of aggressively doing hey, I can get you where you need to go. Where are you going? Tour the city. I'm the better tour guide. And all of them slightly jostling and competing for the customers that are walking by. You don't see the boat that brought you two here.
So, my newfound friends, shall we make our way back to Vec to report? I feel like we do know a bit, but we could maybe know more, and it sounds like we're quite interested in the Collegium. Maybe we do a bit of more exploring before we go telling any stories.
I totally agree. Vec really is well, sorry, not Vec. What's the no, Vec.
Yeah.
So that beer's making me all crazy. I know she likes
That's why I wasn't drinking it. So sorry.
Vec really likes people to take the initiative. I don't think we have much to tell her yet, and I think she'd just be like, well, what are you wasting time coming back here to tell me you don't know much? So, I say we keep going, keep exploring, get to the Collegium.
All right, then. I think that's a good idea. What do you think, Rivulet?
Oh, I'd love to go see the Collegium and where everyone learns magic.
Yeah. It sounds very exciting. Well, I suppose then we might as well take one of these water taxis and keep our eyes out for anyone in reddish robes while we're on the way. I know that's an important clue.
Oh, yes. And plus the water taxi is a wonderful way to get the whole tour of the city. If we're going to the Collegium and going all the way to the inner ring.
All right, then. A sightseeing tour. Keep your eyes peeled, friends.
All right.
You head to the water taxi stand. There is, there's like 4 or 5 of them lined up with a variety of different pilots. Are you looking for anything in particular?
The nicest one, obviously.
Oh, and okay. Roll an insight check. See if we can figure out who the nicest one is.
That's a 14 insight for me.
17.
Okay. Yorick, as you're looking around, you're kind of like, yeah, first one's right. So you and Yorick both start heading for just like the first one in line, which you see like looks a little bit dingier, like it hasn't been super well maintained, has like kind of a pile of sailcloth and rope in it. And this like big, slightly angry looking bugbear with a long like gondola pole who just like and just like looking at you. One of the people who's like not actively trying to recruit. Rivia, you look at this and you're like, oh, hell no. And you see kind of 2 boats down, there is a slightly smaller but like very clean, well-painted little sort of gondola boat thing with a pair of water genasi who are just kind of like waving cheerfully at people and kind of calling out like, anyone, a ride? It's very nice out. Our boat's great. Okay, have a good one.
Hello.
Oh, yes. Hello.
I'd like a ride, please.
Of course.
Me and my friends.
Princess. Yes. Please. On board. Yes. And he just like awkwardly kind of like stands out of the way and gestures to the boat.
Rivulet gets onto the stern and dips her feet in the very front of it and waggles them.
Playfully.
Yes.
I can see you jostling playfully.
You immediately with your connection to the water feel like little the currents of the city, which are sort of artificially generated to keep water moving, right? Otherwise it would just be a lot of very stagnant canals a la Venice and like disgusting and stinky. And in this case, the city sort of, I don't know that Rivulet would know how yet, but you definitely feel these currents that are moving and trying to sweep the water in the canals through the city. And the Genasi sort of like looks at the rest of you and, yes, anything for the princess's friends, please. Here, my boat, your boat. Yes.
Fantastic.
It's very kind of you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, please.
The Collegium.
Of course. Yes. And he hops onto the back, grabs a pole, and kind of nods to the other water genasi, who has also just kind of been like sitting there, slightly shell-shocked and staring at Rivulet. And they begin the one kind of begins poling along, and the other starts shaping the water. You immediately recognize some of this magic as just very easy to use and manipulate water magic to create a current that will propel the boat.
That's a nice trick.
Innate water, got sort of that whole ancestry thing going on, and I can breathe underwater. Acid doesn't really hurt me, which I like to think I'll never actually have to test that, but that's what my mom says.
That's a handy bit of abilities.
Just keeps commerce alive in the city. It's pretty good for us.
Sounds like we're in the right company.
Oh, well, we of course know the princess by reputation, I guess. But I don't know. Have you all been in the city long?
Oh, yeah. I've been training with the mercenaries and, just trying to, help out around town.
I heard that's a good gig, except when, they have about a 50% fatality rate.
I'm really lucky, so...
Sure. I mean, okay, great then. Good for you.
I myself am a new arrival, just seeing things for the first time.
Well, welcome to the city.
Thank you very much.
So the four of you, including Alistair, all pile into this water taxi. The two Genasi begin doing their water magic at the back, and it starts taking off through the city. So you have because you're kind of just in this taxi and the way the canals are laid out, it takes, I'm going to say it takes long enough time that for you to get to the Collegium, you can take a short rest.
All right, short rest. As we're moving deeper into the city, I am going to cast Mage Armor subtly.
What does Yorick's Mage Armor look like?
It gives me, I think, AC 13 instead of AC 11.
Okay.
So AC 13 plus Dex modifier, actually. So that's a 14.
Okay.
So it's a 14 while it's on. And I have it for the next 8 hours.
And what does this casting of the spell look like? What is Yorick's flavor of the magical effect?
Yeah, well, Yorick is going to subtly twist his magic ring. And a ever so subtle shimmer of energy is going to flash over his body momentarily, but he's sitting in the stern of the boat, so hopefully no one notices.
I'm sitting there, so I notice.
Okay. Wait, are you in the front or the back?
I'm in the front.
Okay, that's the bow. The stern's the back.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And I'm at the bow.
Right.
I think, Rivi, you are just you are taking it all in. This is like the city that you are excited to be in. You get another really nice tour, and it's a little more meandering than kind of your path getting out from your apartment this morning to the Scarlet Osprey headquarters was much more very direct on thing. And, partly due to traffic flow and partly also these two Genasi clearly trying to sell the city a little bit more, you're on a much more scenic route. Mechanically, everyone good with short rest and things or any other questions or anything? Okay.
Okay, and can I add cooking a special food? Because I can do that for 6
totally.
creatures at the end of the short rest. Any creature who eats the food and spends 1 or more hit dice to regain hit points regains an extra 1d8.
So I'm going to say yes, but I'm also going to say this is a little vignette on the way of this journey. So are you preparing your chef treats in the boat?
We're cooking in the boat.
Stop really fast somewhere that you can run and grab grab ingredients Please tell me more about Galen's cooking.
What happens is that we're passing along the canals, and I notice some of these mussels that tend to grow along the sides of the running water, because mussels really love running water. And I notice some that are particularly beautifully colored, which indicates a rich flavor and a healthy mussel. So I take my scimitar and I just kind of shrink, wink, slice it open, and grab the mussels out, and I have a lemon in my pack, of course.
I mean, you never leave home without it, of course.
Yeah, you gotta have a lemon.
Right.
Lucky lemon.
A sun egg.
Yeah, my lucky lemon. And then I, open up the mussels, squeeze the lemon on it, and offer it to everyone on board.
And we eat it raw.
Well, there's a little
Delicious.
lemon. It's like cooked with lemon.
It's very light
acid.
ceviche.
Yeah.
So the acid protection does come in handy for these water driving.
They both just as soon as you kind of direct them over towards one of the pilings of the piers here, they're just and as you start whipping up this treat and the boat begins pulling back into the canal, they both look at each other and just nod, get a big happy smile as you pass the the mussels around. They both just like grab, I guess, a handful or like a shell. Do you like reassemble
Yeah, they're
the
really
shell?
large mussels. They're about the size of my hand.
And, and you eat with your eyes first, of course. So, like,
yeah.
it's like a really nice mussel shell with sort of like chopped mussel and lemon inside. Little bit of their own juice, of course, too.
Oh, yeah.
probably.
Oh, yeah.
They just like slurp it down,
Slurp it
toss
up.
it. That was, oh my gosh, that was great. Miss Princess, you have some great friends. He's great.
Isn't
Thanks.
he? He saved my life earlier today.
I mean, even better. If you saved the life of our princess, then that's good enough for me. You're okay by our watch. And you, well, you got the look of like someone who knows the sea, so that's good enough too. And they look at Alistair, who's just kind of like awkwardly sitting very straight and like has delicately like from somewhere, like don't even know where, has just pulled out like a tiny oyster fork and is like eating the mussels one little piece at a time.
Very daintily.
This is delicious. Thank you.
Oh,
of course.
my pleasure.
Wonderful.
Rivulet is decorating herself with beautiful shells.
So that means we all get to roll a D.
So this is, yes, this is your special food. Everybody gets a D8.
All right.
Extra D8 of hit points.
I am back at full health. Oh, some
yeah.
delicious mussels.
8.
Yes.
And is it a D8 plus whatever is normal or just a normal
No,
D8?
in this case, it is just a D8 because it's a special
yeah.
thing
Octopus
from the
haute
chef.
cuisine.
And
Well
you can't
played,
get more
Gary.
hit points than what your max is, right?
No, you cannot. But
And then
are you
I
back
have
up
to
at max?
check off.
Yes, I would say that's probably everybody because there's the 4 of you and the 2, assuming you were feeding the
wait,
2.
where did it go? Yeah, I got
gondolas.
it.
There you
Okay.
go. Okay.
All right. And it'll reset when we do a long rest.
Yeah, next time you do a
Exactly,
little
yeah.
rest. Mhm,
All right.
Exactly.
Hey everybody, just wanted to jump in for one quick second to say, hope you're really enjoying the podcast. It would be super cool if you would leave us a rating and review, hopefully that nice 5 stars, on whatever platform you're listening to us on, Spotify, Google, Apple, Stitcher, other stuff. Those ratings super help us out. I get a warm fuzzy feeling when I hear them, and it lets other people find the show. And if you like what you hear, you can head on over to Patreon and support us there. That would be extra cool. Patreon.com/The Roll Report. You can get early access to merch drops, all of our bonus content, all kinds of other cool stuff, and best of all, maybe you won't have to hear me say this ever again. You'll get ad-free episodes. So if you like what you hear, go on over, check us out. Lots of cool stuff. And now back to the show.
Snacked and feeling a little better, you all kind of make your way through the city. I guess, to kind of recap that a little bit, you're going kind of from all the way out at the 5th ring, the outermost dock, and kind of heading all the way into the inner ring. And as you go, the city around you sort of grows gradually in its opulence and grandeur and the proliferation of magical lampposts and signage for shops and all this sort of thing. So pretty clearly, like you already know this, but Yorick, I think you get pretty quickly that like many other cities, and like you might assume, like as you get closer to the heart of it, the overall wealth is growing and sort of I'd imagine also your fingers itch a little bit with like the amount of like things that could just quietly go missing and turn a very tidy profit later. Yeah, I think, Rivulet, you're a little lost, but like getting more familiar with the city. And Galen, I think as you leave the 4th ring and like enter the 3rd, that's sort of beyond where your knowledge goes. Like I think Galen, like the 4th and 5th ring, like is where you have responsibilities and where you and Vec have been guarding and taking care of things. So this is all like a little bit more new for you as well.
What's the quality of the water difference?
The quality of the water difference. It doesn't change a lot. The city, I think, knows that it relies on the sea. It relies on all of its water for everything, right? Wouldn't exist. So there is, contrary to perhaps some other cities or islands that we'll find in the archipelago, like they take their ecology very seriously.
Are there fancier fish?
There's fancier fish in like little there's sort of gated off ponds that connect to the canals that water can exchange freely, but things larger than a dime can't really get in and out. So like the tiny little minnows and
we're talking about schooling fish.
Those that size, they can kind of slip in and out. But you notice that they seem to be some sort of public park most of the time. And in sort of the fourth ring, the third ring, they are much more common fish, like things that you would. Wow, where's a marine biologist when I need one? It's clownfish and angelfish and betas and things that don't fight each other, but are very, very common. You find them everywhere.
Betas are actually quite aggressive.
So one beta. The one beta. Because
exactly. The one that defeated all the other ones in glorious battle.
It's just you pass one, there's just a beta that's mugging at you, watching the boat go by with its little eyes above the water. You see it's got a torn fin.
Oh, Frank, you owe me money.
Hey, fuck you.
All right.
And then as you get to the third ring and the second ring and in, not only are there more private ones, there's kind of the ones that are next to the main canals, but you see just little glimmers of pools kind of tucked on smaller streets, and the fish that you can see are rarer, more exotic, more expensive varieties for the most part. That's where koi would be there. Yeah. Definitely some catfish, of course, and puffer fish. I don't know, weird shit like that.
An albino moray eel.
Exactly. And even the public ones, these little public aquariums, sort of they change a little bit. They don't really get more fancy than koi, but the private ones that start popping up, those have some fish that I think you've only heard of. They live, they live in cold water that's 4 weeks of sailing away from the center of the archipelago, or they live, they're freshwater species that might live in a mountain range somewhere that you've heard about, but have never seen before. And people have very carefully isolated these different fish from the main canals and are trying to keep them in little private aquariums and things. Yeah.
I asked them to stop so that I can say hello to one of these fish.
Yes. Anything for you, Princess? Whatever you need, of course. How fancy a fish do you want to talk to?
The fanciest one I see.
Okay.
That's from the furthest.
Cool. So we'll time jump back in a moment. But yeah, as you get closer to the first ring, I don't know. Okay, let's see. Most expensive fish.
A rainbow wrasse.
The platinum, popularly known as the Asian arowana or Sclerophages formosus.
Oh, an arowana.
Incorrectly referred to as a dragonfish, can sell for, in our world, up to $400,000.
Holy
Oh, that was my first love.
You and what does it look like?
Oh, it's white and it's like this. Its fins are super airy and very floating.
Arowana are cool.
Totally. Yeah, so you're in the first ring. You're recognizing a lot more of the area around. You're like, oh, okay, we've kind of come in at the North Arc, so actually my apartment's a little bit off to the left that way. And as the gondola starts going kind of around the curve, continuing south, it looks like they're going towards more the 6 o'clock point, you spot the platinum arowana. It looks like it's sort of this very nice mansion or manor. It doesn't have grounds because most things are kind of shoulder to shoulder here, but it is this big, nice place with a little crest on the door. And they have just sort of embedded in a gate that goes into this little compound, a little aquarium. And you see a few fish in there. And one of them is this beautiful sort of long white fish with dorsal and ventral ridge fins and little fins and sort of two little barbels on its front and odd little wall eyes and a very vertically pointed mouth.
Who needs a marine biologist when you know the words dorsal and ventral?
I do. It's all about those dorsal shock reactors. And it is the platinum arowana. So the two genasi like pull the boat over and kind of, one of them leans on the stick and the other one's just like casually dipping a toe in the water. And the fish, all of these fish kind of like turn towards you and like hover in the aquarium.
I plop myself in the water and kind of like swim up so that I'm like eye to eye with them, and I go, hello.
They all sort of like wiggle their fins a little bit and swim.
And then I ask them, do you have any secrets to share from your far off place?
Oh, can they talk back to you?
Well, they can talk to me
so.
because I can
I'm
talk
trying
to
to remember.
animals.
Yeah, I can talk, like, I speak fish.
Do you?
Yeah,
Is it in your stats?
it is.
All right.
Yes.
Side quest.
Yeah, totally. I guess this little fish, it sort of like shoves the others out of the way and swims up a little bit closer and just like then turns sideways so it can get one eye directly on you. It just goes,
I'm just a fish. I can tell you about this here tank.
You don't remember where you came from?
I don't remember, who are you?
Oh, well,
But it's nice here. They do feed us, and these guys leave me alone.
oh, well, you're very pretty.
Well, thank you very much. I like your octopus.
Oh, thank you. She,
your
strokes
octopus
it.
does like a little flutter of its fins or tentacles.
Mm. She goes back and kind of dejectedly says, most fish don't have very good memories, but some do, and, well, that looked special, so. Anyways, onwards.
Yes, princess, yes, as you wish. And they pull away from...
Actually, she,
yes.
she
I don't think we're ever
she
going to get
grabs
to
the
the
fish
college.
from over the tank and like just pockets it and puts it in her body. So she's now carrying this fish inside of her.
Make a sleight of hand check.
Where
Fish jacker.
Plus whatever your modifier is. all
or
the way
sleight of
down.
hand.
Man, you should let me do it. I got a 4 plus 4.
It is a 19.
Oh,
I don't think
Fish
anyone.
theft
I think
success.
no one notices. You just like as the gondola is starting to pull away, you just like kind of reach out over, grab the fish. It like thrashes for a minute until it realizes what's happening, and then quietly you now have the world's most expensive fish swimming inside you. So rewinding slightly, everybody give me a perception check as you make your way through the city.
4.
Oh,
You are.
That's a nat
Vivian
one.
is like laser focused on the fish and like the ones that are in the canal brushing against your feet and the ones you see in these aquariums passing by. Like that is all you're noticing.
I also just nat 1.
wow.
Amazing.
Perception? I got
I'm so
13.
into this fish. That's all I can concentrate on.
That and like, there's like mussels, a snack happening. There's like, I think for Yorick, it's almost overwhelming the amount of noise and people and things bustling around.
The
Like,
density.
The density. None of these canals that you're on, like they're mostly taking some of the bigger canals and it's full, almost wall to wall with other water taxis moving around, floating barges of restaurants that are like casually like going from neighborhood to neighborhood. And you're a little bit sort of like head on a swivel, too distracted to notice. Galen, what was yours?
I got a 13.
13. You're paying more attention. Not only do you find the mussels, you spot a couple other things as well. So everybody, it's very easy to spot that every ring and kind of every maybe 5 to 10 degree arc of the circle, there's a barracks. There's just kind of like this building that has the city seal in its turquoise and silver, and has armed guards outside. Just very obviously, the council guard does have a presence in every ring. Galen,
Yeah.
the other thing that catches your eye is a little shop as you're going through the second ring. The second ring holds more of the city's. At that point, it's more of these sort of like the wealthiest homeowners and individuals. There are some wizard towers and grander estates. Again, none of them really have any like grounds to speak of because it's all canal based. But you spot a small shop, and I think what you notice about it is that it's almost like it looks like it's not supposed to be there. It's small. It looks very cozy and very home-like. And it's sort of the construction of it, both in style and in materials, just seems extremely out of place. So you notice this, and as you pass by, I think just numerically, Alistair kind of notices that you're looking off, and he goes, "Oh, yes, that's sort of a new shop. It's kind of interesting. I don't remember how long it's been there, but it's supposed to be a very interesting magical shop. It's called something oddities and somethings, I believe. But we could, yes, I've been meaning to go myself."
I wouldn't mind checking out the magical shop if anybody's inclined to maybe take a little visit.
Well, I mean, I certainly. I mean, I thought.
Yeah, let's stretch our legs after that nice meal and.
Now. Oh, yes, of course.
Well, you pointed it out.
I did. I suppose I did. Very well. Excuse me. And the Genasi kind of like look over and like look at him and then steer over towards the shop. So as you pile out of the shop, and as you get closer, you can all see that. I think you all notice these same things. Like the surrounding buildings are, on one side, this sort of like like a large manor, kind of looks like it, bunch of columns out front, 3 stories tall, like pretty expansive place. On the other side is like a very high-end commercial building that seems to have like a really fancy restaurant and some other like, a beautiful clothes shop full of silk and like just the displays in the windows that have no price tag, because if you need to know how much it is, you can't afford it. That kind of thing. And then you have this small little wooden shop. You can see that there's a little sign over the door that reads Oddhems, Oddities, and Baubles. And as you get a little bit closer, I'd like everybody to make a nature check for me, please. Alistair make one too. He does pretty well.
16.
I got an 8.
Okay.
I think I've rolled above a 12 this entire campaign.
Jesus.
16.
Give it time.
And we gotta rub elbows, get you a little lucky, huh?
It's true.
So as you get closer, you notice that the sign is made of metal and hardwood in sort of a variety, and that all the letters of the sign are in the shape of different creatures. Some of them you recognize, and some of them you have no idea. But I think between the rolls, you do notice that one of the O's looks like a beholder's eye. It has sort of the distinctive pupil and iris markings and coloration of a beholder. You see that the S's look like a giant worm of some sort, a dragon, and what looks like a sea serpent. And you see that the L's and some of the other letters also have little pieces of bone and teeth and claws that you are almost positive come from a dragon. And as you all approach, Alistair holds the door open and ushers everyone in. There's a small silver bell rings as you step in, and you see that the interior of the shop is a low-ceilinged kind of place. I think, Galen, it's like you're kind of like just like this, like it's just a little bit too short for you to stand fully upright comfortably. How tall is Yorick right now?
Under 6 feet, probably 5'10".
Yeah. So also I think for you then it's just a little bit
cramped.
It's very cute and clean inside. Windows letting in a lot of light, and you can smell sawdust and leather and a little acrid tinge of brimstone or something similar, maybe sulfur. There are several display cases around the store full of various items. There's one that has nothing but rings, and some of them are just simple metal, maybe braided or coiled. Some of them have gemstones, and some of them, that look like dragon claws or other little hands are kind of holding the gem in its fingers. A different case has brooches and hair clips and pendants in shapes ranging from functional to fantastic. So I might see a simple, perfectly cut square opal right next to the most elaborately faceted labradorite that looks like a butterfly kind of thing. Another case has bracelets and chains of linked metals. And there are several little mirrors placed around for people to sort of look at themselves trying different things on. You also see on a couple of the display cases are little braided platinum trees, almost like they're like a little sculptural element that has other earrings kind of hooked onto them and hanging. Some of them look like they're metal, some of them are gems, some of them look like they're made of bone or teeth and carved into little shapes. The walls of the shop around, there are little racks of leather goods, holsters, shoulder and hip holsters, belts, straps, gloves, all kinds of things. And most of it is very simple and plain, but well executed. Sometimes has little gems or other things inset. And a couple pieces have kind of very elaborate tooled leather or like different colors and combinations. Alistair, kind of as he looks around, just whispers, I think some of that leather is dragon hide or something similar. Interesting. And he's just like wide-eyed looking around. And as he says this, you notice behind the counter, there is a small gnome with very tan skin, a brilliant fiery red hair braided in elaborate patterns around their head, kind of around sort of the crown and then falling, and bright green eyes. And they look up from a little piece of gold wire and give a smile and a wave. Oh, hello, welcome. Welcome to the shore. Introductions first, of course. My names are Mara, Christopher, Lilith, Ruby, Sparklegem, Reed, Timber Creek. This, and she snaps her fingers, and they snap their fingers, a little owl appears on their shoulder. This is my owl hashtag. It's very nice to meet all of you. Welcome to the shop. I'm sorry, who are you?
I'm Galen.
Galen, wonderful to meet you.
My name is Yorick. I've never seen such treasures in all my life.
You're too kind, Yorick. Thank you so much.
That means a lot coming from this guy. Believe me.
I see no reason not to.
And Rivulet looks at Galen and waits.
Oh, yes. This is my wonderful and what's it called when you my wonderful royal ward, Rivulet.
Oh, a royal. Oh, interesting. Well, welcome to the shop. Alistair kind of like picks his head around and goes away. Alistair, hello. Hi. Well, please, what, if anything, can I do for you? I have many things, and they gesture to a little sign that's right next to them that also has a couple lines that says, all items non-magical, custom work upon request, materials plus gold per hour, and little prices. And at the bottom, very prominently, it says, gnomes welcome haggling. Mm. And they look back at you and they say, well, what, if anything, can I get for you? Can I enchant something? Does anyone need a fine piece of jewelry or metalwork, perhaps? Or
Oh, that's funny. I actually have this amulet from my youth that I don't know. I don't really know much about it. Maybe you could tell me something.
I'd be more than happy to. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I offer anyone a beverage or snack? As you look around, you also easily notice in a little corner there is a little pot that is bubbling away, emitting wonderful smells of chocolate. And from somewhere, just sort of like the baked goods smells of cinnamon and sugar and flour and butter waft around.
I'll have some of that chocolate if you're offering.
Absolutely, of course. Anyone else? And
wait, can I do a perception check to
Sure.
see if this is like poison or a trick
Sure.
or going to enchant me?
Do an insight check. And as you're kind of like looking suspiciously, they just sort of gesture, and you see little a translucent hand just like appears, grabs a mug, dips it in, and just kind of floats back over to deliver it to you.
I mean, you know what they say, no such thing as a free lunch.
Rivulet holds it in her hand, sticks her finger.
It
in
is
it.
the best hot chocolate you ever had.
I got a 16.
She pours it all over herself.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's new. And it doesn't get on my floor at all. Amazing. Well,
My body is soaking it up.
With the 16, they seem genuine.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll have a cup.
Oh, of course. The mage hand carries.
I'm a bit of a cook myself, you know.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a cook, but I do bake quite well, if I'm tooting my own horn, so to speak. And
Bacon, cooking, we all get hot, you know.
I certainly wouldn't say no to that. And you, my friend?
I would love a cup. It looks delightful and smells even better.
So mage hand delivers a little cup, and then it hovers back, and you see there's just a tray of different pastries. Most of them puff pastry based. So little, what are they, vol au vents and croissants and things like that.
I believe it's pronounced croissant.
Croissant. Those, of course, almond and chocolate varieties, and some other little like cookies and things. Please help yourself. Welcome. Please enjoy. You're more than welcome to stay and have a cup of chocolate and chat. But is there anything that I can do for you?
With her mouth full of croissant, she says, "Well, we're off for an adventure. Is there anything that you're useful?"
Wonderful. I do miss those days myself. Oh, and an amulet, you said. Well,
yeah, check this thing out, man. It's pretty cool.
They take your amulet and give it a look for a moment. Well, it's almost definitely magical of some sort. I don't really do the divine magic myself. I have interesting relationships with deities, but I could identify it for you. But no magic comes free.
Mm. Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, what are we talking here? Like 1 gold piece, 40 gold pieces? I'm kind of on a budget here.
It depends. Can you wait 10 minutes or do you need it now?
I feel like this is a pretty. We're kind of on a mission, so let's just do it fast and dirty. We'll come back if we need more information.
Then there'll be 10 gold piece.
What do you think?
We had 20 from your friend who doesn't like me very much.
I don't see how that's possible. You seem wonderful.
Oh, thank you. And she does her light thing and a little curtsy.
Gosh, I just don't know if I should spend half of our store on something so personal.
Well, I will say from my own experience, when you adventure, you tend to come into money more often than not. So it's up to you. I don't believe I'm going anywhere. I might take the shop and find another island sometime in the next little while,
true,
but
that's true.
No rush.
What do you think?
Now I say you might as well get as good as they say.
All right, you got 5 on it or something?
I'm not even sure if I have any money, actually.
Well, you know what? I'll cover it.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Generous princess. May my...
Well, he saved my life earlier today.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I see. Well...
Let's
do it again, too.
And they just kind of hold out their hand for a moment.
Oh, you're carrying our money.
Oh, yeah, here you go.
All right.
Clink, clink, clink.
So they take the gold and just kind of like tuck it into a pouch at their belt. You see them pull out a pearl from kind of another pocket in this coat that they're wearing and hold it up to their eye and kind of examine the amulet. And so here's what I'll say. I'm going to need to figure out exactly what the amulet is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in this moment, you notice that their eyes change. They were sort of this like a normal green, and they almost become faceted and gem-like for a moment, and glow green for a split second. And then it fades, and they put the pearl back, and they look up at you and they say, "This, I don't know that I've seen something like this before. It's definitely a piece of divine magic of some sort. And it seems possibly connected to maybe the trickster or perhaps Rywin of the Sea. A little bit hard to tell. And like I said, not really my specialty. And I'm a little confused. It should have some sort of properties, but perhaps you haven't awakened them, or it hasn't awakened itself. So I'm afraid the best I can do, and actually here, and they hand 5 gold pieces back. Please, I would feel bad about taking all that. I think the best that I can do in this moment is I would recommend having perhaps a cleric or someone a little more connected to divine magic take a look. And if they can't help, perhaps bring it to me again in a little time. If you're adventuring, no doubt something will happen, and perhaps something might trigger it, and it will be a little easier for my magic to gain access. But should you bring it to me again, I will identify it for no charge.
Ah, fantastic.
So I do wish I could help more.
All right. Well, still helpful.
I'll take it. Anything else? Jewelry, leather, things?
What brought you to the city? Are you here to sell these magical items and goods for the Tournament of Mages?
Oh, well, the tournament is very interesting. I have some concerns, but the Collegium was not very receptive to them, so I decided that it would behoove me to...
What are you concerned about? It sounds so exciting.
How well-versed in magical theory and practice are you?
Well, I'm a druid, so...
So instinctual and
Yes.
And natural. Well, then it's not going to make any sense, I'm afraid. But just generally speaking, when you have high concentrations of magicians, wizards, sorcerers, the like, in one place, and all of them using their magic, it sometimes can go sideways. And in ways that sort of could collapse the whole reality of existence into a point of nothingness.
Oh, do you have anything to protect us against that?
No.
Oh, well...
I'd hope to protect myself, honestly. That might, if I feel it happening, that might involve just a plane shift away. I hear the Fey Realm is quite nice this time of year. But, yes, the tournament brought me here, and it's the city. It's, I went to the Collegium. Well, I'm not actually sure how long ago. The time has become a little bit funny for me.
What sort of magic did you study at the Collegium?
Well, I try not to limit myself, but I did focus myself on enchantment. I do pride myself on it. I have a bit of a flair and talent for it, you see, and it's useful. And all of these items you see that are currently non-magical, I could perhaps make some of them magical given the right time and opportunity, and quite frankly, money. It's not an inexpensive proposition.
Do you have any recommendations for any sorts of enchantments that might help us, sort of interact more easily with these mages of the Collegium? We are interested in exploring something of their college.
I can share my favorite spell with you. It is, my second favorite, perhaps. I think my favorite might be a little bit beyond your reach right now, but...
Are you interested in purchasing any rare species of fish? I happen to know a location of 1 or 2 very, very appealing specimens.
Their eyes shift and kind of like turn to a much lighter sea green, and they laugh and wink and just go, "Now, I'm sure I wouldn't want to know where any rare fish come from, public aquariums notwithstanding, or private terrariums as it might be, but fish leather is very difficult to make, so..."
And I wouldn't give away Bob for anything.
Right. Forget I asked. You were about to tell us about your favorite enchantment.
Well, it's a bit of a good one. And you see their eyes again kind of shift, become a little more faceted, and glow for a second as they say, "Why did the mushroom like going to parties?"
Because he was a fun guy.
Yes! Everybody make a wisdom save.
Oh, that one.
I just got an 8.
Okay.
I got 18. I'm lucky.
Yeah,
Holy
wow.
shit.
You're very wise today.
So Alistair just kind of like looks confused for a moment, and then Galen, you're like, "That's not funny." Rivulet and Yorick, you both, there's like a second where you're like, "That's not," and you start cracking the fuck up. And it is the funniest joke you have ever heard in your life. and fall onto the floor of the shop, rolling around with laughter. Galen, you see Mara's eyes continue glowing for like 10 seconds as your companions just cackle madly on the ground. And then the glow fades and their eyes return to normal. And the two of you both kind of come to your senses on the floor, remembering how terrible the joke that it was and not sure why you laughed. And Mara kind of looks down, like kind of stands up on a little stool, looks over the display case, goes, yes, that's one of my favorite spells.
Ooh.
I've never laughed so hard at such a terrible joke. What was that? How did you do it?
Well, that is the hideous laughter. It's quite fun. It's a really delightful enchantment. Sometimes you can just sort of think the joke really hard, but I always like telling it. And if you're lucky, you'll just have someone laughing incapacitated on the ground for, a minute, and you can worry about other things before you come back to that.
And you're telling us that you can put this enchantment on one of these items, or how exactly does that work?
Well, if I were to do that, I would sort of, the simplest thing, I would try to make a wand or some sort of object for you that could hold a few castings of that spell. And it's one that I did, in fact, master quite early, so I should be able to do that. I will warn you, most of these things and any sort of enchantments tend to be in the hundreds to thousands of gold pieces range. So perhaps not judging, of course, perhaps the princess can afford it right now, and perhaps the rest of you can a little bit later in your travels.
Well, we may have to do some fish trading, but it's an interesting piece of information.
My bodyguard carries most of my cash since, it's a bit dirty, isn't it?
That's me, right?
No.
The other one.
Yeah.
All right.
Which, by the way, you look around and you have no idea where Drawn is.
I'm very pleased about that, actually.
Mara kind of looks at it. I highly recommend that. Perhaps I might be able to offer you some of my knowledge should you like to copy some spells another time. But again, those, you, I believe, must know this, gold and time is the big factor there.
Oh, that's certainly reasonable. Just one more question about the Collegium. You wouldn't happen to know Professor Err at the Collegium or anything that sounds like any of those particular sounds?
Not that I can think of. That sounds like part of a name rather than the whole name, but you could attempt dropping at least one of my names there and see if anyone has a fond remembrance. If you run into a centaur named Charistus, maybe leave me out of it.
Leave you out of it, right?
Just if you want him to look kindly on you, if you want to, antagonize him, and between you and me, he's worthy of antagonizing. Then then you might drop my name.
Certainly helpful information. Anyone you think might be friendly to travelers looking for information?
The Collegium is supposed to be open to anyone with an aptitude, so you could try the main admin building, and perhaps they would have a directory of some sort. It seems like you've just arrived, so there's sort of 9 buildings to the school. There's the 8 classical schools of wizardry, of course, and then the administration, which that one should have someone who can help you a little bit more.
Well, that's very helpful of you.
What do you have how much money do we have, Galen?
I've got 10 gold
we had
pieces.
20.
But you got 50 right there. So we have.
What do you have that is worth 60?
You want to spend all your gold at the first shop we stop in? That's not very business savvy.
Oh, we can always get more.
You certainly can. They point to kind of like a section of display cases. In the jewelry section, there might be like a small stone or two, and like well-made metal objects, and then kind of like gesture over and some of the leather work, some of the nicer leather that does look like it's maybe possibly dragon hide or something more exotic, is in that price range as well.
Do any of them do anything?
Well, no, not yet. Like I said, nothing's magical. I mean, of those, you could put a book in that one. It's like kind of a large shoulder holster. You could put other things in those pockets.
What about something for your new pet?
Oh,
Some fish bling.
I've never tried to pierce a fish's fin, but I suppose there's always a
I
first
don't
time.
think Bob would like that very much.
Oh, you already named it, Bob.
Yes. Well, he already had a name. He told me. Rivulet starts to like glaze over and get bored and wanders out.
Alistair just goes, thank you so much. Perhaps I must look around more. We'll be back, of course. I might need to get some money first, but yes.
Thanks very much for the chat. See you next time.
You're all quite welcome. The mage hand kind of begins collecting cocoa mugs as you all leave. Come by any time, and you all step back out into the gondola and make your way towards the Collegium. And that is where we're going to end for tonight.
All right. Shopping.
I didn't think shopping was going to be so early, but
Yeah.
you guys are just, proving once again that whatever
We're a
I
very
think is
curious bunch, easily distractible.
It's whatever I think is going to happen is absolutely not what's going to happen. So I should just stop trying to have you on any sort of rails at all. That's just so. Thank you all for listening to our second ever episode. It's amazing. Wait, don't go anywhere. We're doing the sign off. Kaya, where can people find you if they want to find you?
On Instagram, KAYAMEYY.
All right.
Yeah, Instagram works for me too. It's Allfenner, ALLFENNER.
This is Ben. You can find my other nerd things at Ben_Rogue on Instagram. Also, big up to my little brother for these new fancy metal dice.
Fancy metal dice.
That's who I want to plug. My brother.
I'm Colin. You can find my cats on Instagram. They are at No Good Cats because they are fast and cheap. We could only pick 2. Please follow the show. We are on TikTok and Instagram at The Roll Report Cast, all one word, lowercase. If you like what you hear, please support us on Patreon. Please give us a nice 5-star review on iTunes or Apple or Spotify, wherever the fuck you're listening to us. We super appreciate all of you guys listening to us because we're having fun and hopefully you are too. And with that, as we always do, a 5, 6, 7, 8. Shopping trip, shopping trip, shopping trip.
Shopping trip, shopping trip, shopping trip.
World's most expensive fish.
World's most expensive fish.
World's most expensive fish.
And a shopping trip.
And a shopping trip. And mussel ceviche.
And a nice hot cup of hot chocolate.